A few months ago, I tested the GMC Sierra AT4 trim equipped with the excellent Duramax diesel engine. I found the AT4's combination of features, capability, and sheer presence extremely compelling in a full-size pickup. In fact, I said in that video, were I to purchase a full-size pickup myself, I probably would get a GMC Sierra AT4 trim. In my opinion, it sort of hits a sweet spot in the market, a sort of convergence of features and capability that, to me, exemplifies everything a full-size pickup truck should be able to do. The only real features that the AT4 tester I had lacked was the Carbon Pro bed and the monstrous 6.2-liter V8 engine. But don't worry, this Sierra Denali has both of them. So let's take a look and see, are they worth it? And is the Denali worth it? What's going on, everyone? Jax here, and today I have the GMC Sierra 1500 Denali trim. If you'd like to get into the nitty-gritty details of the GMC Sierra and its higher trim levels, I have a link in the description to my full review of the AT4 trim. Many of the options on that truck are mirrored here on the Denali with a few notable differences. The first is perhaps the most obvious visually. This Denali is in full parking lot poser trim with chrome accents everywhere, even on the tow hooks, which might be the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. It's probably assuming you're the kind of person that will never use the tow hooks, nor do you know what they are. It has enormous 22-inch wheels that are straight out of a 21 Savage video, as well as this admittedly pretty red paint. But the other two more important differences are so much cooler. This Denali model is equipped with GM's 6.2-liter V8 that produces 420 horsepower and a whopping 460 pound-feet of naturally aspirated torquey joy. It is a glorious engine with an urgency that's definitely unmatched by the equally torquey Duramax diesel. As an added bonus, you get a proper GM small block soundtrack belting out of the fakest looking rear pipes, with my only real complaint being that I would like to hear more of that soundtrack. You'll want to hit the aftermarket as soon as possible to sort of open up the noise envelope of that wondrous engine, but it's definitely better than the sort of diesel's muffled clatter. But is it actually any better? Well, see, that's a tougher question. It certainly feels better, and you definitely want it to be better. But is it actually better? But the truth is, it really just isn't that much better. The diesel engine feels plenty torquey enough at lower speeds, and it's only when you really rev it out do you get that sort of crescendo of power from the 6.2 liters sort of higher horsepower numbers. How often that applies to your day-to-day life is debatable, and in regular driving, doesn't feel that much different than the diesel engine. At $2,500 for the option, you'll spec it because you want it, and that is completely understandable. But just don't expect there to be a huge practical benefit beyond the sort of experience. It's an experiential engine, and it feels better, and maybe you feel better driving it, but day to day, you won't really notice it. It is also significantly thirstier than the diesel engine, and not in a TikTok kind of way. But again, if you're ordering the 6.2 liter V8, you probably don't care all that much about fuel economy. But you will want those aftermarket pipes though, seriously. And ditch the exhaust tips, get some proper fat round ones. Just my opinion. The second main difference here is the Carbon Pro package, which is a rather reasonable $1,100. And as I joked in the AT4 review, really only matters if you want to tell everybody that you have a carbon fiber bed on your pickup truck. All kidding aside, GMC does claim a greater sort of scratch, dent, and corrosion resistance in the carbon fiber bed, as well as a 25% weight reduction and a slightly increased payload capacity. Considering the almost $73,000 price as tested of this Denali model, the $1,100 charge for the Carbon Pro package seems really reasonable. It's kind of a drop in the bucket when you think about it. Honestly, even though I did sort of mock it in the AT4 review, if I were speccing out a GMC pickup, I probably would include the Carbon Pro package, and then I would just offset it by financing the truck for a 30-year fixed mortgage.
What? No.
And if there's one area in which the Denali falls short, to be honest with you, it's in the exact same area that the AT4 fell short, and that's the lackluster interior. Unfortunately, in a world of recently updated F-150s and sort of ridiculously opulent Ram interiors, at $72,000, the GMC Denali interior falls woefully short of its sort of price range. The design is really uninspired and not in a trucky, very basic and functional kind of way, in a more not much better than a Toyota Tundra kind of way. And that's not good, because the Tundra interior is tragic. The center screen is too small at 8 inches, which I know by today's standards it seems silly to say 8 inches is too small.
That's what she said.
But the truth is that it is. The screens now are getting ridiculous. The driver information center in the middle of the gauge cluster is similarly a bit too small. And that's a shame, because this has the Denali Ultimate package, which means it has all of the amazing information, statistics, diagnostics, whatever you want to call it, that the AT4 had. They were all part of the AT4's technology and safety package, which sort of mirrors the Denali Ultimate package. And I found all of those sort of readouts and gauges and information extremely useful, especially if you were the kind of person that uses the truck as God intended a pickup truck to be used. You know, like a truck. I would imagine that a more manly man than I, who actually uses a pickup truck in that manner, would find them even more useful than I found them. I was just like, hey, look at that. The truck tells you your brake pad life. Cool. And maybe that's just it. Would a more serious person actually buy a GMC Denali, assuming he or she was going to sort of use it as a truck and not just a showy alternative to sort of a German luxury brand? Because make no mistake about it, that's exactly what this Denali trim is. My guess is no. He or she would rather save the $3,500 that you spend on the 22-inch wheels and special red paint. And maybe, just maybe, they would want to save the $2,500 that you spend on the 6.2-liter V8. And that would basically bring them down to the price of a loaded Sierra AT4 with the Carbon Pro bed. A truck that can be taken more seriously because it is more serious. After driving this Denali for a week, my opinion basically remains the same. If I were speccing out currently a full-size pickup truck of my very own, I would get a GMC AT4 with the Duramax diesel engine, and I would add that Carbon Pro bed. And honestly, that opinion stands until I can test drive the new Ford F-150 in some sort of similar trim, as well as maybe the Ram kind of spec'd in a similar manner. I would like to see how those stack up to something like the AT4. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, if you would like to check out my detailed review of the AT4, there is a link in the description in which I cover all the sort of aspects of the AT4, the camera system, driving impressions, and all that good stuff. So the link for that video is in the description if you want to check it out. I didn't really get too much into the ride and handling here because the similarity between the two trucks, even though one was spec'd for off-road duty and the other is spec'd for sort of parking lot poser duty, is surprisingly similar, the main difference being the hilariously awesome V8 engine, which admittedly is tons of fun, but from a driving everyday standpoint, the two trucks are very similar, so the same praises and the same complaints will apply to both vehicles. So be sure to check that video out and let me know in the comments what you think and which model you'd prefer. Maybe I'm completely off base with my analysis of the Denali, but honestly, I thought that AT4 was all the truck you could ever want or need, and I still really want one. As always, guys, thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate all the comments and feedback. I always appreciate the positivity, and I love hearing from people that watch the videos because they happen to own one of the models and they enjoy the sort of praise and or criticism sometimes of the cars and trucks that they've decided to buy. I hope you all have a wonderful 2021. I'm actually down at my parents' lake house right now, which is why we have the different backdrop, which seemed more truck appropriate, to be honest with you. A little more country, a little more rugged. We're in middle Georgia right now, so this is pretty much pickup truck ground zero. The Denali blends right in, although the AT4 would probably blend in even more so if I'm being honest. Until next time, of course, ride safe, drive safe. I will catch you in the next video. Peace. That was a very loud truck. Very loud truck.